I didn't actually, but I always did want to be a transactional lawyer. And I was really lucky that I found the real estate industry, which I absolutely loved. And we're very lucky in our profession that you can actually practice as a lawyer and also take other leadership roles at the same time. And I've always done that. I've been a team leader, I've been client relationship partners, and I think that's really great for your leadership development. And what happens in our world is that those roles do naturally evolve. So I was leading our infrastructure, construction and property line of business a few years ago. And that was when I was first asked to take an acting role as CEO of the firm. And I think it's fair to say that that's when I first became interested in the role. My pathway definitely wasn't a straight line. It was pretty meandering. And it was really about taking leadership roles that came my way, both inside the organisation and outside. And I think it was very much about saying yes to each new, more senior role that came along, even if I didn't think I was ready. And also, even if I didn't think I had time to do them, because I think time is a little bit more elastic than you think. What I would say is that my leadership roles outside of the organisation that I'm in have actually been almost as important as my leadership roles within the firm. And I've chosen those roles very much because they've been aligned with my passions and values. So, real estate, diversity, community investment. And my best leadership roles have been where a number of those different passions have aligned in one. One of the other things I'd say is it's also important to know when to say no to roles in terms of your leadership progression. So, saying no to roles that come along either at the wrong time or roles where you think you can't actually bring any value. Another critical thing to leadership development is sponsorship. So I've had some great sponsors in my life who often saw potential in me that I didn't actually see in myself and really gave me the space to grow, the resources that I needed to succeed in roles, and an absolute belief that I could lead through change. The other thing I've done on my leadership journey is that I've worked with some great coaches every time I've been in a new role and really embraced introductions to influential networks, again, outside of the organisation that I've been in. And all of my coaches have very much encouraged me to stay curious and open to other opportunities. So ultimately, my path to CEO definitely wasn't linear, but it was very much built on trust, sponsorship, resilience, and a deep commitment for me to purpose. And I'm incredibly grateful to every person who helped me get where I am today. Every role I've had, whether it's been a traditional leadership role or not, has absolutely shaped my leadership style and prepared me for the complexity of leading a firm like Minter Ellison. Some of my roles were about coming in and leading teams that had great people in them but were broken for one reason or another. Some were about coming into nothing and building things from the ground up. Some were about supporting roles for other really great leaders, and a lot of them had me leading through times of quite substantial uncertainty, like COVID. And I think all of those are critical skills for a CEO. One of the things I've always believed is that leadership is absolutely about showing up, both sort of physically and mentally, saying yes, being really curious, being interested, and being interesting. And I think that mindset has helped me embrace roles that weren't really part of a traditional leadership path, but that were very rich in terms of learning and growth. The other thing I think I've done is been quite conscious to invest in myself. So with every new role I've done, I have worked with a coach. And that external perspective, I think, is great at helping you to reflect, to refine your approach, and importantly, particularly as a CEO, build your own resilience. And it also reinforced to me the importance of psychological safety and belonging. So, one of the things my sponsors and coaches have done for me, and I try to do for others, is to create environments where people can truly bring their whole selves to work without fear and judgment. And that's a value I carry into my leadership today. Been really fortunate to have had sponsors who played defining roles in my career, far beyond what traditional mentoring could offer. And I often say that women, I think, are over mentored and under sponsored. And I've absolutely experienced that firsthand, that how powerful that sponsorship can be. What mattered most was the visibility those sponsors gave me. So they gave me introductions to people, to experiences in my world, to client exposure. And they also gave me the confidence to lead initiatives that I might not have put my hand up for otherwise. The great thing about sponsors is that they don't just advise you, they they invest some of their political capital into your reputation. They open doors for you, and great sponsors actually stay with you because they believe in your potential. The other thing is that I have a personal purpose, which has helped me on my leadership journey to really create an environment where people can realize their potential. And I have benefited from having a thriving team behind me in every step of my journey. I've always been attracted to leadership roles in organisations that are aligned to my values and passions, where I've felt I had something truly valuable to offer, and that offer would be accepted and then valued by the organisation. So at Minters, I think I've really benefited from a culture of true diversity, which is so important for diversity of thought, which I think is critical for businesses. And that kind of culture where leaders are encouraged to back emerging talent from really diverse backgrounds and experiences can be absolutely transformative. But for me, the sweet spot is actually belonging. So, creating psychologically safe environments where people can truly bring their whole selves to work without fear of judgment, because that is so good. It's good for culture, but it's also really good for leadership. And that's the kind of workplace that really nurtures potential and I think unlocks progression. I wouldn't be in the role that I'm in now, or actually any of the roles that came before, without the support of my partner, my family, and lots of other social infrastructure. Behind every opportunity I've had, there's been a fantastic network of people helping to make it possible. I think in terms of caring responsibilities, a good example is I was first approached to join Minter Ellison just after my daughter was born. And I actually decided at that time that it was too much to be a new mother and also a partner in a new law firm at the same time. So I turned them down. But 3 years later, when the opportunity came around again, I said yes because I had the support systems in place to make that work. The really interesting thing for women in senior leadership positions, and the thing that's becoming increasingly important for them, is the support systems you need to have in place when you're caring for aging relatives. From my experience, that's often something more complex than caring for small children. And I'm lucky enough to have found an amazing woman who set up a business specializing in this area. And she's just been a wonderful help for me with a couple of aging relatives. And I've referred her to lots of people, and they've literally had tears in their eyes when they've come back and told me how much she's helped them. So I think it's very interesting that you need that support right through your career. It just turns up in different forms. And it's really important, I think, to normalise the fact that leadership and caregiving can completely exist together for men and women. And that means for those of us who are, at the pointy end of leading organisations, we really need to make sure we're designing workplaces and leadership pathways that take into account different life stages and responsibilities. And it also means recognising that social infrastructure, whether it's paid parental leave, coaching, or flexible work, they all play a really critical role in enabling diverse leadership. Ultimately, my journey has been possible because of a combination of personal support and institutional courage, and I'm really committed to ensuring others have access to that as well. Leaders are people who deal with people. So there's always doubt and resistance. I actually consider my doubt a little bit more of a good sanity check where I might need to think twice about something. And then I always challenge myself to take a deep breath and trust my instincts. And I sometimes find I should trust them more often than not. I bring as much influence as possible to the people resistance and a lot of determination to overcoming the structural resistance. I think resistance in the form of incorrect structures just need a great change management process. One of the things that does annoy me is that women in leadership roles are often judged more harshly than men, and that can make us more hesitant to take on roles. So I think we just need to lean into that and be brave. And one of the key things I've learned is that it's okay to make mistakes. The real challenge is to reframe those mistakes as learning opportunities and grow from them. Biggest adjustment in taking on my CEO role was recognizing that leadership in a partnership is about influence, not about direct power, which is quite different to a CEO role in a corporate organization. So, emotional intelligence, relationship building, and strategic alignment became much more critical than I initially expected. And in terms of my lived experience, especially my passion for the real estate industry and being a true values driven leadership, those things really shape how I lead and empower others. I think everyone would agree we live in a really rapidly changing world. So I think great leaders need three key things. They need IQ, so they need to be smart. They need EQ, so they do need to have that emotional connection. And I think authenticity goes with that as well. But critically now, they also need AQ. So they need to be adaptable to change with changing circumstances and to lead people through ambiguity and change. And in my world, our leaders also need to be incredibly client centric. And as a result of that, and within a partnership, have really strong relationships with their clients and with the people within their organisation. The three key values of our firm are curiosity, excellence, and collaboration, and they are just non negotiable for me. And the other thing I think is that true leaders are very generous with their time and invest it very wisely in both success for both our firm and for our clients. So I would say four key things. The first one, prioritize sponsorship over mentorship. Whilst mentoring is very valuable, sponsorship can be transformative. The second one I would say is create cultures of belonging. So diversity and inclusion are very important, but belonging is critical. It's the foundation to making good organisations work. I am incredibly firm in the view that leaders really need to foster environments where individuals feel psychologically and physically safe to truly bring their whole selves and their lovely diverse minds to work. The third thing, normalize coaching and support structures. I think every new leadership role should come with access to coaching because that not only accelerates development, but also helps leaders navigate in this rapidly changing world of ours. So boards should really embed coaching into succession planning and leadership transitions just as standard practice. And the fourth thing with a bit more of a gender lens is I would ask boards to really challenge that merit myth. I think promotions based on that merit myth often overlook the deep structural disadvantages that some people have and the advantages that other individuals have. Boards really need to recognise that merit is often, I think, a really misconceived social construct that overlooks true talent for leadership. Absolutely embed sponsorship really deeply into the structure of your organisation. It is such a powerful lever for inclusion and progression, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds. Be flexible about your career path, but be very clear about your objectives and your passions when you're stepping into your next leadership role. And seek out sponsors who can see your potential and who can often see things in you that you can't see in yourself. And don't be afraid to put your hand up when opportunity knocks.